So my favorite D&D experience is when I rolled a druid and I got high enough in class level to eventually get my own familiar pet rhino. And he was great. He was stronger than our tank. He fought dragons. He carried us across rivers. He was one of the best friends a druid could have. He stuck around right until the end. And you know, he did so much great work for me, and I was happy to have him. He was a wonderful pet and, man, just an all-around great friend to have in the world of D&D. So, Alberto, what's your favorite D&D experience?
Well, I don't have one yet. I haven't started playing yet.
You don't have one yet.
My favorite D&D moment that I remember is when I was playing Curse of Strahd. I actually critted about 4 or 5 times when everyone else was rolling 1s or 2s. So it was really good for Halfling Rogue. So that's my favorite memory.
So my favorite D&D moment would probably be when one of my players had this bright idea to assault an enemy fortress. They had been sent to a tower that had long been dilapidated but was rumored to have these baddies hanging out inside. And there was originally a rope ladder going down to a lower level, but they had cut the rope as a means of keeping the people from leaving, but had lost all means of getting down there themselves. So one of my party members has this bright idea to have everyone tie a rope around his legs and dangle him headfirst into this hole so that he can fire arrows down at these individuals. One of which was Duergar in 3.5, which at the time had the ability to go invisible once per day. So everyone loses sight of these creatures hiding inside these avenues, inside various hidey holes, and they just hear this little pitter-patter of feet, and suddenly this flying dwarf comes leaping off of an overhang and cuts the rope, and he falls down about 20 feet to the bottom level of this tower, where he's promptly jumped upon by every creature down there. I don't entirely remember how he survived, but it was definitely memorable.
Okay, so my favorite D&D story was our party was trying to infiltrate this this camp. I think it was orcs, and we ended up infiltrating the camp by having our druid wild shape into a horse, and we put a horn on his head, making them think he was a unicorn, and then we ended up selling him to the orcs. And then, you know, once he was inside, you know, they thought they just gotten a unicorn at a great price. And then he, you know, ended up wild shaping back and then unlocking the gates for us. So we got in, and we got money from the orcs. It was great.
My favorite moment from D&D is actually 2, but the same character. I was playing a 1st edition campaign, and I was playing a rogue who only the DM knew had an evil alignment. Everybody else just knew he was almost neutral. We were investigating this one town, and after my party members went to bed, I went off to this one farm to do some more investigating. Really, I was just trying to rob the farm. But the kids were there and the parents weren't. And I kept asking shady questions. I'm like, where are your parents at? Oh, they're not here. Okay. Trying to gain their trust to get them out of the house. All of a sudden the ground starts shaking. Ankeg comes out and starts chasing us. And I trip the kids to get away. That was like our first session. I let 2 children get eaten by Ankeg. That's terrible. But the very end of it, I redeemed myself. The main boss wound up being the DM used my backstory I created as the guy who basically forced my alignment to shift to evil. Was like this boss. He was my former gang member, leader, whatever. And we were at the final battle. We took out all of his goons. We were in this middle of swamp in this big church with a graveyard with a black iron rod fence all around it, and he's getting away. He is getting away, without a doubt. We are 1 dice roll away from stopping him from disappearing and stopping him forever. I am not proficient with crossbows. Take out the enemies. I pick up one of the crossbows as he is about to run away. He's all by himself. We took everybody else out. He's got his hands on the top of the black iron fence, and he's jumping over. As he's leaping over, Hail Mary shot with a crossbow, and I need a 20, and I need maximum damage. I get the 20. I get the maximum damage. And I stop him, and we win, and take him out, take him back in to be arrested. It was awesome. So those are that is my full favorite story.
I remember we had been playing a campaign for a long time. We had gotten all the way up to 13th level, and our primary foe was this evil orc warrior princess queen. And she had come into possession as a gauntlet. She was basically laying waste to the city. And we had set up on top of a tower, and my job as the archer was to try and take her out from afar. Well, they threw a ballista at us, or I think it was a boulder, and broke my arm. Luckily, I was able to, even though we didn't think we were going to be able to make it happen, I was able to convince the ranger who I was training as an archer to make the shot, and all of that paid off, and it was a glorious moment. I can't remember all the details, but I do remember that moment really impressed me, and I really enjoyed that campaign a lot.
So what's my most memorable D&D moment? I think there's too many to really pick one out in particular. I guess the strongest memories D&D go back to when I was first introduced, which was Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the AD&D books. That was when I first jumped into D&D. And I have a lot of fond memories of that system specifically. But I think the strongest influence was the modules that came out, like Temple of Elemental Evil, and the maps that came out influenced me. And I draw maps today, and I got into doing fun cartography illustrations because of those early modules back in the day from Advanced Dungeons & Dragons.
So it was probably more than 5 years ago that I was playing the 3rd edition of D&D, and I went down a dungeon and I tried to ride a mummy and ended up getting rabies at the end of all that. So yeah, that's the last bit I remember of that.
Okay, so my favorite moment was when there was a bucket of water, and I put a flask of oil in it and tried to cast spark on the flask to make a huge explosion, and it was like a boop, and nothing happened.